Over the last few years, venture capital investments have undergone an interesting trend. They've shrunk. Over the past 14 years, venture capital investment has been at its lowest. This is having an interesting effect on the way some small businesses are emerging. The Mark caught up with April Dunford. She's a software marketing executive, and we sat down with her here at Shore Consulting on Bay Street to talk a little bit more about this interesting trend. So my first question is, what are some examples of low-cost tools that companies are using now to lower their startup costs?
There's a bunch of things that exist now that didn't exist 4 or 5 years ago when people were starting startups. So for example, people are using the Google application suite, in particular Gmail, for mail. They're also using Skype for voice stuff. They tend to be either free or the pricing model is very inexpensive and it's per month. So you don't have to commit to paying a big lump sum up front, you're paying along as you go.
So a lot of companies now are using more, or they're pushing more stripped down versions of their products into the market. Why are they just doing this now? Why didn't companies do this 15, 10 years ago and save a whole bunch of cash?
Right, that's a really good question. So, you know, when you think about the way we have traditionally built products, particularly at bigger companies, it's been very product focused as opposed to market focused. And I think people learned a lot from that. And one of the things that people learned was it's awfully expensive to make a mistake about your assumptions. And so if you build the product and get it out to market and then you start testing your assumptions about the market and you were wrong, the company potentially either fails and you just blew a lot of money, or you have to pivot the entire company, which is expensive as well. So what you're seeing now is just a much more intelligent approach that is much more customer focused and much more about, in the early stages, before you've built out this all singing, all dancing product that does everything, you're building something that consists of sort of a minimal set of things, and you're testing your assumptions.
Tell me more about the assistance that a company would get from an angel investor.
Right, so a lot of times what a startup can get from an angel is, you know, first of all, it's time. Primarily it's time, right? So, you know, angels will spend a lot more time with a particular company, you know, tend to get daily involvement from a venture capital company. And the other thing that the angels come with, because they've run successful companies, they tend to have a really good network of people around them that can help, right? So when a startup comes and says, you know, we need help doing X, Y, Z, the angel can say, oh, I worked with some people that do that, they're fantastic, let me introduce you to them. The other thing they can do is introduce them into accounts or customers, depending on the kind of business it is. But if you're selling to other businesses and you've hooked up with an angel who's sold to other businesses, that angel comes with a Rolodex of contacts and a relationship with people that they can get you in the door and get you close to something that looks like a sale.
So you have these angel investors sort of holding the hands of companies, getting them going and getting them ready to launch their products. It seems as though venture capitalists aren't really relevant anymore. Where do they fit in now?
This is a great question. Like, by no means is there no longer a need for venture capital, or the venture capital is not going away. But what you're seeing in this model is folks needing a smaller amount of money at a seed stage, and that's not typically a stage where a VC gets involved. So the angels are stepping up and getting involved there. And then the ones that make it through that process, coming out of that, you've got this business with a kind of a minimal product, but you know that it fits well with the market.
So I guess I'll just end on, what does this new model mean? What's it going to mean for business?
Well, you know, that's a good question. I think that it ultimately, what you'll get is the companies that were going to fail anyways will fail faster and fail cheaper. And so what it means is that we're not going to waste as much money and time and effort on stuff that's never going to be anything. And so, you know, ultimately what it should result in is companies being more successful faster. That's what it should result in. That's what I hope it results in.